I almost threw them in the trash 3 times. $12 at a garage sale. Scratched lenses, broken focus wheel, absolute junk. But that night, those cheap binoculars let me see what nobody else could see. 7 rifles, 7 killers, all aimed at one building. And I was the only one who knew they were there. If you want to know how a piece of garage sale trash saved lives and took down an entire hit squad, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from right now, because this story will blow your mind. The coffee was cold when Martinez found the binoculars at the bottom of his locker. $12 at a garage sale 3 months ago. Bought on a whim during a hungover Sunday morning when he should have been sleeping off the night shift. The plastic casing was scratched, one of the eyepieces slightly misaligned, and the focus wheel stuck halfway through its rotation. He'd nearly tossed them in the trash that first week, then again after they'd fallen behind his gear bag, and once more just yesterday morning when he was cleaning out his locker before what was supposed to be his last shift at Meridian Tower. Nobody wanted the graveyard security rotation at Meridian. 43 floors of half-empty offices in the financial district, most of them leased by shell companies and offshore accounts that kept their lights off and their secrets locked behind reinforced doors. The building had a reputation. 3 security guards quit in the last year alone, all of them citing the same vague reasons about feeling watched, about hearing things in the ventilation system, about elevators moving between floors with nobody inside. Martinez didn't believe in ghost stories, but he believed in his mortgage payment. So when the shift supervisor called him at 6 p.m. asking if he could cover for Rodriguez, who'd called in sick again, he'd said yes despite having plans to meet Sarah for dinner, despite promising her he'd finally quit this job and find something that didn't leave him looking over his shoulder in broad daylight. The sun was setting as he arrived, painting the downtown skyline in shades of amber and blood. He clocked in at 8:47 p.m., 17 minutes before his shift officially started, because Martinez was nothing if not punctual. The day shift supervisor, a heavy-set man named Cooper with permanent sweat stains under his arms, barely acknowledged him. "Quiet night," Cooper muttered, gathering his things. "Cameras on floors 12, 17, and 38 are glitchy. Maintenance says they'll fix them Monday. Just do your rounds, check the doors, don't fall asleep." Martinez watched Cooper waddle to the elevator, then turned to survey his kingdom for the night. The lobby stretched out before him, all marble and chrome and the kind of expensive minimalism that screamed too much money and too little taste. The security desk sat in the center like an island, surrounded by screens showing feeds from cameras throughout the building. Most of them displayed nothing but empty hallways and darkened offices. He settled into the chair and pulled out the binoculars, setting them on the desk next to his thermos. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind him, he could see across the street to the parking structure, and beyond that to the cluster of older buildings that made up this corner of the financial district. The binoculars had become a habit over the past few weeks, a way to break up the monotony of watching dead camera feeds. He'd started spotting things. A couple having an argument in a lit window 20 floors up in the adjacent building. A janitor who always took his break at 10:15 to smoke on the roof. The rhythms and patterns of a city that never truly slept. The first hour passed like they always did. Martinez made his rounds, checking doors on floors 1 through 10, his footsteps echoing in empty corridors where the air conditioning hummed with mechanical indifference. Everything locked, everything dark, everything normal. Back at the desk, he poured coffee from his thermos and picked up the binoculars. Out of habit more than interest, he scanned the windows of the building across the street, a 30-story structure that housed mostly accounting firms and law offices. Most windows were dark at this hour. Then he saw it. Floor 22, third window from the left. A glint of light that didn't belong. Not the warm glow of an office lamp or the blue flicker of a computer screen. This was sharp, metallic, there and gone in an instant. Martinez adjusted the focus wheel, fighting against its stubborn resistance. The misaligned eyepiece made everything slightly blurry, but he'd learned to compensate for it over the past weeks. He steadied his elbows on the desk and focused on that window. The light flashed again. This time he saw the shape behind it. A scope, a rifle scope catching the ambient light from the street below. His mouth went dry. He lowered the binoculars and looked at the monitors, at the building's cameras showing empty hallways and quiet floors. Then he raised the binoculars again, his hands suddenly unsteady. The window was dark now, but he hadn't imagined it. Someone was up there with a rifle, and they were aiming at something. At someone. At Meridian Tower. Martinez grabbed his radio with shaking fingers. "This is Martinez at Meridian. I need to report a possible armed threat in the building across." The radio crackled. "Repeat that, Martinez. You're breaking up. Armed individual. Building across the street. Floor 22. They have a—" Static drowned out his words. He tried again, but the radio was dead air and electronic hiss. The cell phone in his pocket had no signal, which wasn't unusual in the lobby with its reinforced concrete and steel framework. He'd have to go to an upper floor or outside to get reception. But if there was a shooter across the street, going outside meant stepping into their potential line of fire. And if he left the desk, if he ran, how many minutes would be wasted? How many seconds did he have before someone pulled a trigger? He raised the binoculars again. The window was still dark, but now he knew what to look for. He scanned the other floors, the other buildings in the cluster, and his blood turned to ice. Another glint. Building to the north, floor 18, then another in the parking structure, top level, behind a concrete pillar, then two more in the older office building to the west. 5 positions, 5 rifles, all of them, aimed at Meridian Tower. His mind raced through possibilities. This wasn't random. This was coordinated, professional. Someone had positioned shooters in a perimeter around the building, and they were waiting for something, or someone. The elevator dinged. Martinez spun in his chair, his heart hammering against his ribs. The numbers above the elevator showed it descending from floor 38, but the building was supposed to be empty except for him. Cooper had done the sweep before leaving. The floors should be clear. The elevator stopped at 34, started descending again, stopped at 30. The pattern was wrong, erratic, like someone was getting on and off at multiple floors, or like multiple someones were using multiple elevators. He checked the other elevator monitors. All 3 elevator cars were moving, all descending, all following the same stop and start pattern. Someone was clearing the building floor by floor, working their way down. Martinez grabbed the binoculars and ran to the window. He needed to confirm what he was seeing, needed to understand the shape of this threat before it reached the lobby. Through the scratched lenses, he scanned the buildings again, counting positions. 6. He'd missed one behind a rooftop air conditioning unit in the building directly east. 6 rifles, 6 shooters, all of them maintaining position and discipline, which meant they were professionals, military or former military, and they were waiting for a signal or a target. The target was in Meridian Tower, on one of those upper floors, and the shooters outside were the overwatch, the perimeter, set to eliminate anyone who tried to escape or interfere, which meant the real threat was already inside. The elevators continued their descent. Floor 25, floor 21, floor 17. Martinez looked at his monitors and saw nothing but empty hallways on the functioning cameras. But floors 12, 17, and 38 had dead cameras. Convenient. Too convenient. He needed help. He needed SWAT, the FBI, someone with tactical gear and automatic weapons. All he had was a radio that didn't work, a phone with no signal, and a pair of $12 binoculars that barely focused. The first elevator reached the 10th floor and stopped. The doors didn't open on the camera feed. It just sat there, idling. The second elevator reached floor 12. Dead camera. No visual. The third elevator continued down. Floor 8, floor 6, floor 4. Martinez made a decision. He couldn't run. He couldn't call for help. But he could do the one thing those shooters outside weren't expecting. He could see them. He grabbed a notepad and started drawing a quick map of the surrounding buildings, marking each shooter position he'd identified. 6 confirmed. He studied the angles, the sight lines, the places where their coverage overlapped and where it left gaps. These men were good, but they weren't perfect. Nobody was perfect. The third elevator reached. The lobby. The doors opened. Martinez shoved the notepad in his pocket and grabbed the binoculars, ducking behind the security desk. Through the gap between the desk and the wall, he watched the elevator. A figure stepped out. Black tactical gear, no insignia, face covered by a balaclava, rifle held in low-ready position. Professional movement, clearing corners, checking angles. The figure moved toward the front entrance, posted up behind a marble pillar with a clear view of both the street and the lobby. A second figure emerged from the elevator. Same gear, same movement, same deadly competence. This one took a position behind a decorative planter covering the opposite angle. The other elevators arrived. More figures emerged. Martinez counted 8 total, all moving with the precision of a military unit. They set up a perimeter inside the lobby, covering every entrance and exit. One of them walked to the security desk, saw it was empty, and spoke into a radio. Ground floor secured. No contact. Target still contained. Target still contained. Someone was still upstairs. Someone these people wanted badly enough to deploy a dozen armed men and set up sniper positions on every building in the district. Martinez pressed himself against the wall behind the desk, his mind racing. He was one man with no weapon and no way to call for help. But he had the binoculars. He had the map. And he had something these people didn't know he had. He had seen them. The tactical team began. Moving through the lobby, checking rooms, clearing corners. Martinez waited until their patrol pattern created a gap, then crawled on his belly behind a row of planters, making his way toward the service corridor that led to the maintenance stairs. If he could reach the upper floors, if he could find whoever they were hunting, maybe he could find a way out. But first, he needed to deal with those snipers. He reached the service corridor and slipped inside, easing the door closed behind him. The stairwell was dark and silent. He climbed quickly, taking 2 steps at a time, his breath coming in harsh gasps. At the 5th floor landing, he paused and pulled out the binoculars. There was a window here, narrow and grime-covered, but it had a view of the parking structure. He raised the binoculars and found the sniper position on the top level. The shooter was still there, rifle mounted on a bipod, eye pressed to the scope, waiting. Martinez studied the position, memorizing details. The angle of the rifle. The way the sniper was positioned behind the concrete pillar. The muzzle flash suppressor that would hide the shot but not the sound. These details mattered because somewhere in this building was someone who would eventually have to move, and when they did, 6 rifles would open fire simultaneously, unless those rifles weren't there anymore. An idea formed, terrible and desperate and probably suicidal, but it was the only idea he had. He climbed to the 8th floor and found another window with a view of the building to the north. Through the binoculars, he located the 2nd sniper position. Floor 18, as he'd noted earlier. The shooter was visible in profile, rifle aimed at Meridian Tower's upper floors. Martinez pulled out his phone. Still no signal inside the stairwell. He'd need to get to an exterior office for that. He continued climbing, each floor a small victory against the burning in his legs and the terror in his chest. At floor 12, he exited the stairwell into a corridor lined with darkened offices. The camera here was dead, just like Cooper had said. Convenient for whoever had planned this operation. They'd disabled cameras on key floors, creating blind spots in the building's security. But they hadn't counted on a board security guard with a pair of garage sale binoculars. Martinez tried an office door. Locked. The next one. Locked. The 3rd door opened into a small conference room with windows overlooking the financial district. He pulled out his phone and watched the signal bars climb. 1 bar, 2 bars, 3. He dialed 911, his hands trembling so badly he almost dropped the phone. 911, what's your emergency? This is Martinez, security at Meridian Tower downtown. Multiple armed suspects in the building, sniper positions surrounding the perimeter. Need immediate tactical response. Sir, can you repeat that? Did you say snipers? 6 confirmed sniper positions. 8 armed suspects inside the building. Professional. Military-style operation. Someone's life is in danger. Send SWAT now. The operator's voice remained calm, but Martinez could hear the urgency building. Sir, I'm dispatching units now. Can you give me your exact location? Floor 12, east side. But you need to tell the responding units about the snipers. Buildings to the north, south, east, west, and the parking structure. They'll light up anyone who approaches. Sir, officers are en route. Stay where you are and stay safe. Martinez hung up and raised the binoculars again. He had maybe 10 minutes before the first patrol cars arrived. Maybe 15 before SWAT could deploy. And the moment those sirens got close, the suspects in the building would execute their plan, whatever it was. They'd kill their target and try to extract. And those snipers would cover their escape by eliminating any police who tried to intervene. He needed to buy time. He needed to disrupt their operation, and he needed to start with those snipers. Through the binoculars, He studied the position in the parking structure again. The sniper was set up behind a concrete pillar, barely visible even with the magnification. But Martinez could see the rifle barrel, the suppressor, the angle of aim. And he could see something else. The pillar had a number painted on it. P7. Parking level 7, position 7. And behind the pillar was a car, a dark sedan with someone sitting in the driver's seat. A spotter or a getaway driver, keeping the engine running. For a quick extraction, Martinez grabbed the phone again and dialed 911. "This is Martinez from Meridian Tower again. I have specific locations for the sniper positions." He rattled off the details, describing each building, each floor, each window where he'd spotted a rifle. The operator took notes, relaying information to tactical units already mobilizing. "Sir, the first units will arrive in approximately 8 minutes. Please stay on the line." "I can't. There's something I need to do." He hung up before she could respond and moved to a different window, this one facing the building to the north. Through the binoculars, he could see the sniper on floor 18 more clearly now. The shooter had shifted position slightly, adjusting aim, which meant something was happening in Meridian Tower. The target was moving. Martinez needed to know where. He left the conference room and moved quickly down the corridor, checking doors until he found one that opened into a larger office with windows facing multiple directions. He raised the binoculars and scanned Meridian Tower's upper floors, looking for any sign of movement, any light, any indication of where the target might be. There, floor 38, a single light in a corner office, movement behind the glass. Someone was up there, probably unaware that 6 rifles were trained on that exact location. The question was who, and why were they worth killing? Martinez heard footsteps in the corridor, heavy boots on industrial carpet. The tactical team was clearing floors, working their way up. He had seconds to hide. He dropped behind a desk, pulling the office chair in front of him for cover, and held his breath. 2 figures entered the office, sweeping with rifles raised. Martinez pressed himself against the floor, making his body as small as possible in the darkness. The figures moved past his position, clearing the room with practiced efficiency. One of them paused at the window, looking out at the surrounding buildings. "Overwatch, this is ground 3. Target still contained floor 38. Estimate 5 minutes to breach. Copy ground 3. Overwatch is green. All positions locked." The figures moved out, continuing their sweep of the floor. Martinez waited until their footsteps faded, then slowly raised himself up. 5 minutes until they breached the 38th floor. 5 minutes until someone died unless he did something. He raised the binoculars again, studying the sniper positions with new urgency. These shooters were too professional to make obvious mistakes, but everyone had vulnerabilities. Everyone had moments of distraction. He just needed to create those moments. The sniper in the parking structure shifted again, adjusting the rifle's angle. Martinez watched the movement, analyzing it. The shooter was tracking something, following a target, which meant someone on the upper floors was moving near a window, probably not realizing they were visible to the Overwatch. Positions. An idea crystallized. Terrible, desperate, but it might work. Martinez pulled out his phone and dialed 911 again. Different operator this time. "This is Martinez, Meridian Tower. The suspects are about to assault floor 38. Your units need to coordinate the breach." "Sir, tactical units are 3 minutes out. Can you maintain visual on the suspects?" "Negative, but I can maintain visual on the snipers. Tell your teams I'll call out when the snipers are distracted. That's their window to approach." "Sir, that's extremely dangerous. We need you to stay hidden and 3 minutes isn't enough time. Those snipers will engage any approaching vehicles. I can give your teams an opening. Tell them to listen for my signal." He hung up and moved back to the window overlooking the parking structure. Through the binoculars, he watched the sniper adjust position again. The rifle barrel moved fractionally, tracking something. Martinez followed the angle of aim and saw what the sniper was watching. Floor 38, corner office. The light was still on. Someone was still moving around up there, unaware of the crosshairs following their every step. Martinez needed to break the sniper's concentration. He needed to create chaos in their carefully coordinated Overwatch, and he needed to do it in the next 2 minutes before the tactical team inside the building reached floor 38. He studied the parking structure again through the cheap, scratched lenses. The sniper, the spotter in the car, the pillar marked P7, and beyond them, visible through the garage's open structure, the street below where patrol cars would soon arrive. Then he saw it, a detail he'd missed before. The parking structure had motion-activated lights, the kind that turned on when cars entered or exited. Most of the garage was dark except for the top level where the sniper was positioned, but there was a control box mounted on the wall near the elevator, probably for maintenance. Access. If the lights went out, the sniper would lose visibility, the spotter would panic, and in that moment of confusion, approaching police vehicles would have a chance to get closer without being seen. But Martinez was 12 floors down in a different building. He couldn't reach the parking structure. All he could do was watch, unless he could find a way to make something happen from here. He scanned the other sniper positions, looking for similar vulnerabilities. The shooter on floor 18 of the north building was set up near the windows, probably in an empty office like the one Martinez was hiding in. That building had motion sensors too, security lights that would respond to movement. An idea formed. A ridiculous, probably impossible idea, but he was out of time and out of options. Martinez pulled out his phone and dialed the main number for Meridian Towers Property Management Company. He'd seen the number posted in the security office. After 3 rings, an automated system answered, offering options for emergencies, maintenance, and leasing information. He pressed the extension for emergency building maintenance. Meridian Emergency Services, this is Gerald. Gerald, this is Martinez, security at Meridian. We have a situation. I need you to remotely access the building management system for the properties surrounding Meridian, specifically the parking structure to the east and the Hartley building to the north. Martinez, what's going on? I'm showing police activity near your location. Gerald, listen carefully. There are armed suspects in our building and in the surrounding buildings. I need you to trigger fire alarms and security lights in those locations. Can you do that remotely? The parking structure, yes, we manage that property. But the Hartley building, I'd need to contact their facilities manager. No time. Just the parking structure then. Trigger the fire alarm, now, and cycle the lights. Make everything flash. Martinez, triggering a false alarm is a serious... Gerald, people are going to die unless you help me. Please. There was a pause. Then, okay, give me 30 seconds to access the system. Martinez raised the binoculars, watching the sniper in the parking structure. The shooter remained focused on Meridian Tower, completely still, completely professional. 20 seconds passed. 30, 40. Then the parking structure erupted in flashing lights and wailing alarms. The sniper jerked, startled, head on, turning toward the sound. The spotter jumped out of the car, looking around in confusion. For a 5-second window, neither of them was watching Meridian Tower. Martinez grabbed his phone and called 911. This is Martinez. Now. Tell your units to approach now while the parking structure sniper is distracted. Through the binoculars, he saw 2 patrol cars accelerate toward the building, using the chaos as cover. The sniper spotted them and swung the rifle toward the approaching vehicles. But other officers were already exiting their cars, taking cover, calling out positions. The sniper and spotter realized they were compromised and abandoned their position, running for the exit stairs. 1 down. But 5 more were still in position, and Martinez could hear boots pounding up the stairwell toward floor 38. He was out of time. He moved to the window facing north and raised the binoculars again. The sniper on floor 18 was still locked in position, unaware that their Overwatch network was collapsing. Martinez needed to create more distractions, needed to disrupt more positions. Gerald, are you still there? Martinez? What's happening? The parking structure is going crazy. I need you to do the same thing with other buildings. The Hartley building, the Stockton Tower, any property you can access, fire alarms, lights, anything that creates confusion. Martinez, I can't just... Gerald, please. Lives depend on this. Another pause. Then, Hartley building. Has an alarm I can trigger remotely. But Stockton Tower is a different management company. I'd need to get them on the phone. Do it. Hartley first. Martinez watched through the binoculars as the northern building's fire alarm system activated. Lights began flashing in the corridors. The sniper on floor 18 spun around, trying to locate the source of the disturbance. Through the windows, Martinez could see office doors opening, confused tenants stumbling into hallways, wondering if this was a drill or a real emergency. The sniper grabbed a radio, speaking urgently. Then the shooter began breaking down the rifle, clearly preparing to evacuate. But before they could finish, the office door burst open and building security rushed in. Responding to the fire alarm, the sniper drew a sidearm but realized they were surrounded by civilians and couldn't shoot without creating a massacre. Hands went up. Another position compromised. 2 down. 4 to go. Martinez's phone buzzed. Text. Message from an unknown number. SWAT lead. This is your tactical contact. Need sitrep. He replied quickly. Security guard Martinez. 6 sniper positions. 2 compromised. 4 still active in buildings west, south, and 2 in east sector. 8 armed suspects inside Meridian Tower approaching floor 38. Target identity unknown. The response came fast. Copy. Teams entering Meridian from underground garage. Need you to maintain eyes on remaining snipers. Can you do that? Affirmative. Have. Limited overwatch position floor 12. Stay there. Keep us updated on sniper positions. Martinez moved to another window, this one facing west. He raised the binoculars and scanned the old office building where he'd spotted 2 of the original 6 positions. The shooters were still there, still locked in position, still watching Meridian Tower's upper floors with professional focus. But Martinez noticed something new. One of the shooters was speaking into a radio, head turned away from the scope. They'd realized something was wrong with the Overwatch network. They were communicating, probably trying to figure out why 2 positions had gone silent, which meant they'd be more alert now, more cautious, harder to spook. Martinez texted the SWAT lead. West building snipers now on high alert. They know positions are compromised. Copy, working on it. Working on it wasn't good enough. Those shooters would start picking off approaching officers, and inside the building, the tactical team was probably seconds away from breaching floor 38. Martinez needed a new approach. He couldn't trigger alarms in the western building from here, and Gerald probably couldn't access their systems either. But maybe he didn't need alarms. He raised the binoculars again, studying the 2 sniper positions more carefully. Both shooters were on different floors of the same building, maybe 8 floors apart. Both had radios, both were communicating, which meant they were part of the same network, probably using an encrypted tactical frequency. But they were also watching the same target zone, floor 38 of Meridian Tower, which meant if something dramatic happened there, something that drew their attention, they might lose focus on the approach vectors where SWAT was preparing to move. Martinez grabbed his phone and called 911 again. This is Martinez. I need you to relay a message to the SWAT lead immediately. Go ahead, sir. Tell him to have his teams inside. Meridian create a diversion on floor 38. Something loud, something visible, something that draws the sniper's attention. When they focus on that, approach teams can advance on the west building. I'll relay that now, sir. Martinez kept the binoculars trained on the western building. 1 minute passed. 2. Then he heard it even from where he stood. A massive explosion inside Meridian Tower, somewhere on the upper floors. Flashbang grenades, probably, designed to disorient rather than destroy. Through the binoculars, he watched both snipers react instantly, swinging their rifles toward the source of the disturbance. Their focus narrowed, their concentration locked on Meridian Tower. And in that moment, Martinez saw SWAT trucks racing toward the western building. The snipers spotted the approach too late. They swung their rifles back toward the street, but officers were already spilling out of vehicles, taking cover, establishing perimeter. The shooters had a choice: engage and reveal their positions, or abandon and run. They ran. 4 down. Martinez texted the SWAT lead. West building snipers evacuating. 2 remaining in south building. Copy. Teams moving to intercept. Through the binoculars, Martinez scanned south, searching for the final 2 positions. He found them quickly. 1 on a rooftop, 1 behind a large window air conditioning unit. Both still locked in position, both still watching Meridian Tower. They hadn't broken yet. They were either incredibly disciplined, or they didn't know the entire operation was falling apart around them. Or they were waiting for something specific. Martinez focused on the rooftop sniper, studying the position. The shooter was prone behind a low wall, rifle mounted on a bipod, completely motionless. Professional, patient, but exposed. The sun was rising now, early morning light beginning to spread across the city. In another 10 minutes, that rooftop would be fully illuminated, and anyone up there would be visible. From multiple angles, Martinez called Gerald again. I need one more favor. Jesus, Martinez, what now? The southern building, Greenway Plaza. Is that one of ours? No, different management company, but I think I have a contact there. Call them. I need the roof access lights turned on. Full brightness. Right now. The roof? Martinez, what are you? Please, Gerald, last one. I promise. 5 minutes later, the rooftop of Greenway Plaza flooded with light. Stadium-quality illumination. Designed for maintenance crews working at night. The sniper was suddenly lit up like an actor on stage, completely exposed. Through the binoculars, Martinez saw the shooter realize what had happened and scramble to evacuate. But it was too late. Police helicopters had arrived, spotlights locking onto the rooftop position. The sniper was trapped, surrounded, contained. 5 down, 1 remaining. The shooter behind the air conditioning unit was still in position, still hidden, still dangerous. But now they were alone. The entire Overwatch network collapsed, and they had to know it. Martinez watched through the binoculars as the final sniper checked the radio, probably hearing nothing but silence from the other positions. The shooter made a decision and began breaking down the rifle. But instead of running, they moved to a different position, setting up behind a water tower with a better defensive angle. This one was going to fight. Martinez texted the SWAT lead. Final sniper south. Building fortified position. Not evacuating. Armed and dangerous. Copy. Negotiators en route. But negotiation would take time, and Martinez could see movement on the 38th floor of Meridian Tower through the binoculars. SWAT had breached the floor and was engaging the tactical team inside. Muzzle flashes lit up windows. Glass shattered. The building itself seemed to shudder with the violence happening inside its walls. Martinez watched helplessly as the battle raged above him. He'd done everything he could with a pair of $12 binoculars and a phone. He'd taken down 5 sniper positions, given SWAT the intelligence they needed, created the openings for them to advance. But people were still fighting. People were still dying. And he still didn't know who the target was or why they were worth all this blood. The sun continued rising, painting the city in shades of gold and red. Through the binoculars, Martinez saw the last sniper suddenly drop their rifle and raise their hands. A SWAT team had breached their position from an unexpected angle, probably using the distraction of the firefight inside Meridian Tower to advance unnoticed. 6 down. All positions cleared. Martinez lowered the binoculars, his hands shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. His phone buzzed. Text from the SWAT lead. All sniper positions secured. Suspects inside contained. Outstanding work, Martinez. You saved lives tonight. He sat down on the office floor, back against the wall, and closed his eyes. The cheap binoculars sat in his lap, scratched and misaligned, and worth exactly $12. He'd almost thrown them away 3 times. Almost tossed them in the trash because they were just garage sale junk with sticky focus wheels and blurry lenses. But they'd let him see. They'd given him vision when everyone else was blind. They'd turned a security guard into Overwatch, into an eye in the sky, into the one piece of the puzzle the tactical team hadn't planned for. And, hour later, Martinez walked out of Meridian Tower into a circus of police vehicles, media trucks, and federal agents. A woman in an FBI windbreaker approached him, flashing credentials. Martinez, I'm Special Agent Chen. We need your statement. Who was the target? Martinez asked. Who was on floor 38? Chen hesitated, then decided he'd earned the truth. Federal witness. High-value asset in a cartel prosecution. We had him in protective custody, thought the safe house was. Compromised, so we moved him to Meridian Tower as a temporary measure. Someone leaked the location. The tactical team inside. Cartel enforcers. Hired professionals. Best in the business. They'd been planning this for weeks. Disabled cameras, bribed building maintenance for access, coordinated the whole operation. They would have succeeded if not for you. Martinez looked back at the building, at the shattered windows on the 38th floor where the battle had taken place. Is he alive? The witness? He is. Thanks to you buying us time. Thanks to you spotting those sniper positions and taking them down one by one. I've been doing this job for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like what you pulled off tonight. I just had a good pair of binoculars. Chen smiled. You had more than that. You had situational awareness. You had initiative. And you had the guts to act when anyone else would have run. She handed him a business card. When you're ready to leave building. Security, give me a call. The FBI could use someone like you. Martinez took the card and pocketed it. Then he pulled out the binoculars and looked at them in the morning sunlight. Scratched plastic casing, misaligned eyepiece, sticky focus wheel, $12 at a garage sale on a hungover Sunday morning. Sarah was waiting for him at the police perimeter. She ran to him when he appeared, wrapping her arms around him tight. "I saw the news. They said a security guard stopped a terrorist attack. I knew it was you. I knew." "Just doing my job," Martinez said quietly. "Doing your job?" She pulled back and looked at him. "Martinez, you're a hero. You saved someone's life. You took down 7 armed positions with nothing but—" She noticed the binoculars in his hand. "Are those the things you bought at that garage sale? The ones you kept trying to throw away?" "Yeah," he said, looking at them again. $12. Almost tossed them 3 times. Thought they were just junk. Best, $12 you ever spent." Martinez nodded slowly. "Yeah, I guess it was." As the sun climbed higher and the city began its daily rhythm, Martinez stood there holding the binoculars that had changed everything. He thought about all the moments in life when something small and seemingly insignificant turned out to be the thing that mattered most. A chance encounter, a random purchase, a decision made on a whim. $12, 7 snipers, 1 night shift that would define the rest of his life. He'd thought about throwing them away 3 times, but he hadn't. And because of that, people were alive this morning who wouldn't have been. A federal witness would testify against a cartel. A security guard had become something more than he'd ever imagined. And a pair of garage sale binoculars had proven that sometimes the smallest tools can make the biggest difference. Martinez looked at Agent Chen's card again, then at Sarah, then at the city spreading out before him in the morning. Light. He'd spent years sleepwalking through life, taking jobs he didn't care about, going through motions, surviving rather than living. But last night something had changed. He'd found something inside himself he didn't know existed. Purpose. Courage. The ability to act when action was needed most. The binoculars felt different in his hands now. Not junk, not garage sale trash, but proof that sometimes the universe puts exactly what you need in your path, and it's up to you to recognize it, to use it to transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. He'd never throw them away now. They'd go in a box somewhere safe, a reminder of the night everything changed. The night $12 saved lives. The night a security guard with scratched lenses and a sticky focus wheel had seen what trained professionals had missed and had used that vision to bring down an entire network of killers. As Martinez walked away from Meridian Tower for the last time, the morning sun warm on his face and Sarah's hand in his, he allowed himself a small smile. Life was full of surprises, full of moments when the smallest choices created the biggest ripples. And sometimes all you needed was the ability to see what others couldn't, to act when others wouldn't, and to hold on to the things that seemed worthless until they proved their worth in ways you never imagined. $12, 7 snipers, 1 shift that changed everything, and a pair of binoculars that almost ended up in the trash, but instead became the tool that saved the day.